Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's museum moment. My name is Molly Dubin, and I am the curator here with the Jewish Museum Milwaukee. And I am excited to be talking about today's museum moment because it's a kind of a touchstone for myself, being a child that kind of grew up in the late 70s and into the 80s. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about the 40th anniversary of MTV. Yes, the beloved touchstone that is music television, which of course its programming and the landscape has changed tremendously since it launched. But August 1st, last month, marked the 40th anniversary. So just 1 minute after midnight on August 1st, 1981, MTV came blazing onto the scene and really changed the landscape of entertainment and media usage and the entire culture, really. So, with that, I am going to start a PowerPoint here and we'll look at a few, hopefully, interesting and recognizable images for many. So, okay, here we have the kind of iconic image of the start of MTV, and kind of interesting, right? I don't know that I necessarily knew the background or all of the background of where this image came from. So the original sequence was of the launch, which is fitting here because of the image, was supposed to be kind of a mix of the launch of the Shuttle Columbia and the Apollo moon mission. And actually, they wanted the original tagline to be Neil Armstrong's famous "One step for man, one giant leap for mankind." But of course, as you can imagine, there were some copyright issues. So the image did stay, and they did use that opening sequence of video footage through 1986. But the tagline then became "Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll." So with that, and there's the iconic Moon Man, which came to be the award for the given out for the MTV Music and Video Awards, which was one of its long-running programs. But we're going to step back and kind of look at a little of the beginning and a few highlights and some of the focus of MTV. So, the VJs, the video DJs, if you will. So here we have a shot of some of the five actually original VJs who kept their day jobs apparently until the show really took off. And it really was not accessible. It actually launched only in New Jersey and was only available through cable access. And apparently they would have to actually go across the bridge to a bar where they watched the footage, the streaming. But it was a couple years later, even though the show was always produced in New York, when the producers knew it was going to be a success, that they actually then started having it available in New York. But these are the five original VJs, and the fourth there, the tallest, is Mark Goodman, and there he is in his heyday, and actually today. And he is he kind of went on to become a writer. He did some acting, but nice Jewish boy that was one of the original VJs, and with his hallmark curly hair. So we know that, or maybe, I don't know, I will revisit the fact that the first video that was played on MTV was the Buggles' "Video Killed the Radio Star," which actually is kind of fitting because it went on to really change the landscape. Um, it the term video music or music video, excuse me, was really not in the lexicon. So it was really a new concept. Wasn't hugely successful. It started catching on, but really it was in 1982. So a year later, it's still struggling to get a presence. And they kind of launched this campaign where they invite music stars such as John Cougar Mellencamp, David Bowie, Mick Jagger, Hall and Oates to promote the station and then bring in that now famous tagline, "I want my MTV." So the of course goal there was that cable companies would be flooded and would add the channel, and then it would be, more viewership. And this is at a time when, really it was network stations that were dominating. So that's how that kind of came to be. And one of the early groups in the rotation of videos was also Kiss, we have here. And of course, this includes Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, two nice Jewish boys who were included in our Jews Who Rock exhibit. And they actually famously made their first appearance without their makeup on MTV in 1983. So one of the other things that happens with MTV, this is kind of interesting. So this is Mark Knopfler, another Jew who rocks, of Dire Straits. So when MTV first started, the music industry in the US didn't have video promos. That just didn't exist. But there was a tradition in the UK of creating kind of short clip video promos. So they actually got a lot of early content from the UK, which wound up bringing visibility to, and popularity to some of the British bands. And Dire Straits was one of them. And actually, they were, of course, hugely successful. They were called the biggest British rock band of the 80s. Probably one of their best known hits, and for which they, received many MTV Video Music Awards in 1986. And Video of the Year and Best Group was for Money for Nothing, which includes that famous, there's a chorus with Sting, and Mark Knopfler winds up adding that famous, I want my MTV. Excuse my singing there. I'm not a vocalist for many reasons, as just heard. But one of the iconic videos and a shot from that. So something else that people may not know, MTV actually launched the careers of a number of comedians and gave, first gigs to a lot of comedians. Among them were Kathy Griffin, Aziz Ansari. Here we have Ben Stiller holding an award that he received from the MTV Movie and Music Video Awards, or awards ceremony here. Another, Jon Stewart. So Jon Stewart actually got his start at MTV and actually had several TV shows on the network early on, which he, of course, then parlayed into a much larger career. But here he is on his early set. And fittingly, here he is interviewing Alicia Silverstone, who many fondly remember from Clueless. So another kind of touchstone here when we talk about the 90s. So one of the other things that MTV really did was got into activism quite a bit. And here is an iconic shot from Live Aid. So this was this monumental event that was put together to fight famine in Ethiopia. And one of the organizers was Bob Geldof, another Jew who rocks. And this was really kind of a turning point in terms of looking at MTV as a platform for addressing some of the social issues, and certainly for catalyzing younger viewers. We know kind of the teens into the early 20s is really the target market here. And they really use their platform in some creative and impactful ways. So while this was attended by something like, I don't know, it was just shy of 500,000 people, 489,000 plus. Its viewership through MTV, which covered like 16 hours of it, really was what gave it huge visibility and brought the issue of famine in Ethiopia to the forefront in a number of areas. There's Bob Geldof, also formerly of the Boomtown Rats, just as we say, a great Jew who rocked in his own right. One of the other things they did was talk about the importance of voting. So one of the early campaigns, Choose or Lose, and I'll back up there. So this actually was a point where, you know, Bill Clinton was brought on to talk with young people, and they actually had in-studio discussions to talk about the issues of the day and the importance of voting and the importance of the youth vote. So that was a campaign that continued. Another incarnation, Rock the Vote. Here we have LL Cool J here. So that's something that continued. One of the other things that happens is they address different social justice issues. And in fact, in May of 2021, MTV launched an hour-long special addressing anti-Semitism and the very concerning increase in anti-Semitic activity. So they're continuing to really be a platform, even though their program and, you know, what they have done has changed significantly. One of the last things I want to mention is that MTV was really a pioneer in reality TV, right? So some people will debate that, but reality TV would not be where it is and would not have exploded the way that it did if it weren't for one of these very early shows, The Real World. Of course, many of us remember, and it had many seasons in many different places around the world, but bringing strangers together, often from diverse backgrounds, having them be in a house together, which often brought up you know, challenges in terms of beliefs, ideologies, and gave a platform for discourse for that. So we're told in many instances, Billie Eilish just told us that, along with many people, TikTok is the new MTV. So another kind of evolution of ways that MTV has shaped the landscape, the media, YouTube, TikTok really also considers itself kind of the father of YouTube. So all of that really, you know, came into being with MTV. So it's been many decades, the world has changed, and that being said, MTV continues to reach over 387 million households globally, and it is the #1 media brand on the planet. Excuse me. Yes. So when you talk about, I'm going to stop sharing here, and we'll close this. Its impact that MTV revolutionized the music industry, and its worldwide influence on pop culture and entertainment really kind of not measurable. It's so vast, but it continues today. So with that, just a little peek into the history of MTV and its impact and some of our Jews who rock. Once again, one of our favorite topics. So thank you for joining us for today, and we'll look forward to seeing you for another museum moment next week. Thanks so much.